Why do we live in the country when the cities are so convenient, right? I mean, I never really lived in the city, like downtown per se. I never could stand downtowns in the city areas. I just couldn't stand it. And we always lived in suburbia, in the suburbs, which was okay. I mean, it wasn't too bad, except for there's still too many rules and regulations. And those of you that have associations know what I'm talking about. That I cannot stand, when people tell you what to do, how to do it, and when to do it. So, why do we live in the country? More liberty, more freedoms, more privacy. It's just peaceful out here. It's wonderful. Unless you've been living under a rock for the last couple of months and you don't know what's going on around the world right now with this virus outbreak. You know, when we moved out here, it was all about getting out of the cities, getting out of the congestion, the chaos, the traffic, you know, all that goes along with the city. Now, here is life easy. It can be easier. It is much more peaceful, I'll tell you that much. But it is a lot of work. And that's one of the things about living out in the country. You have to put out the work. And there's a learning curve, steep learning curve. One that has to do with gardening and everything else. When I moved out to the country here, me and my wife, I didn't know anything. I didn't know anything about gardening. Very, very little I knew. I remember as a kid with my dad in his garden. We always lived in the suburbs, and thankfully, thank God, back then we had no associations. But my dad's backyard was just all garden, you know, and I did learn some things from that about fertilizing and all that stuff, and taking care of your plants. But you know, living in the country, like I said, is a learning curve, because at a time like this, where everybody, well, not everybody, but a lot of people are in lockdown, and I feel so sorry for these people, because they're living in these little condo apartments and the little balconies, and they're stuck in these little condos or apartments, and they have no freedoms, you know, and it's like, I don't know, man. You know, I lived it. I had an apartment, and I guess we were kind of brainwashed back then. I mean, that was life. Growing up in the city or the suburbs, you know, you kind of get used to, you know, you either have a house in the suburbs or you have an apartment or a condo or something like that. And that was it. Never did it occur to me to go out to the country and have some real property. I never thought in a million years I'd have 20 acres plus. And how peaceful it is out here. Now, if you if you're able to find a place out in the country that's away from the city, a good 10, 15, 20 miles away, I mean, that's perfect, because when you think about it, when we do have to do some shopping, you know, 20 miles for us is nothing, you know. That's less than 50, that's about 15 minutes for us. There's never any traffic out here. No, nothing. Even during traffic hour, there is no traffic. There just doesn't exist here. I remember living in Houston. If I was late for work As soon as I got on I-10, those of you that live down there, you know what I'm talking about, I would take the road leading to Interstate 10, and all I saw getting on I-10 was tail lights and bumper-to-bumper traffic, because this is early in the morning, as far as the eye can see. And what normally would be a 25-minute drive, you know, could take over an hour. Well over an hour. And then the ride home, the same deal. I don't want to live that rat race. You know, I didn't want to live that way anymore. And I thank God that I was blessed, that we were blessed enough to financially to be able to move out to the country. You don't have to be rich to move out to the country. I know a lot of people that moved out and are very grateful, especially at a time like right now, that they're out of the cities. So, being out in the country here, we're pretty much isolated from, well, we are isolated from everybody else. And the only time that we have to worry about anything, if we have to go out in town to buy anything. Now around here in East Texas, I've only heard of a couple cases in Tyler, and in Nacogdoches I think there was one, in Rusk, there was a place called Rusk. I think it had 2 cases as of this video. So obviously the more congested an area is, the likelier it would be to spread this virus. So I just want to give you guys some food for thought here. Is, you know, years ago we looked at all these prepping channels that were popping up, and a lot of people would laugh at them, and I'd watch them, and there was a lot of good things, a lot of good points, you know, because there is going to come a day when, you know, the crap's going to hit the fan, basically. And you got to be prepared. Now, all of you, I mean, you've noticed how crazy the world is getting, you know, and I see it as since 9/11. Ever since 9/11, it seems like things have been getting worse, okay? As far as the earthquakes, the tornadoes, our weather system, the hurricanes, they've been happening in more rapid successions. And if you're a Christian, you should know, if you read Matthew 24, that these things, the wars, the rumors of wars, the famines, the pestilences, earthquakes in diverse places, these are the beginning of sorrows. And in other areas in the Bible it says that these will be like birth pains will come upon a woman. So birth pains come upon a woman how? Slowly, right? The contractions, they start off slowly, more separated, and they get closer and closer together until finally the baby arrives, right? Well, that's what the Bible is saying, like birth pains come upon a woman. So since 9/11, it seems like these things have been happening more frequent, in more rapid succession, and things are getting worse. And now we got this worldwide pandemic going on, and as far as I can see it, it's mild compared to what we could be getting in the future. I know back over 100 years ago, just over 100 years ago, we had the Spanish flu during a time of war, and it was because of that pandemic basically that really stopped that war. But we have to start considering these things, people. You know, we got to see what's going on around the world. And I guess what this video boils down to is get out of the cities. If you can do it, work towards getting out of the cities. Get yourself an acre or two. It doesn't have to be 20, 30, 50 acres, whatever. Just a couple acres out in the country. Start your own garden. Grow your own food. I mean, look at this, what I'm doing here. I'm not doing this, well, I'm doing it because I enjoy it, but I'm doing it because for more security. You gotta think about things and not be so dependent on the system. I mean, we're not totally free from the system, of course. I mean, there's things I can't grow here, obviously, that we do get. But during a time of an emergency, and if it's warm enough, and well, we're going to be getting a greenhouse, but I can pretty much grow everything we need. During the winter time, I can get a greenhouse here. In fact, we're going to work towards that, getting a greenhouse, so we can grow all our leafy greens. We're thinking about getting a couple of goats, not for the meat, but for their milk, to not to drink so much, but to make fermented things like kefir and yogurts. Just a couple of goats, I mean, you can produce a gallon or two of milk a day. If you time it right to where one's pregnant and the other one's not, and I got to do more research on that, but you know what I'm talking about. Separate the pregnancies to where you're always getting milk. That's food, man. Chickens. We got chicken. We got, well, I have left now, what do I have left? 11 hens. And we're getting, I don't know, anywhere from 6 to 9, 10 eggs a day right now. And that's plenty. Whew, that's plenty of food. So between what we're growing here, what the chickens are producing, we'd like to get goats, like I said, we'll have food. We'll have some security. Now, is it going to be pizza night every night? No. But it's food. You'll survive. And it's good food. This food will actually keep you healthy and strong. So, yeah. That's basically what I wanted to talk about this video. Not so much about gardening. You watch my gardening videos. You know what I do here. I'm putting down manure and compost. That's the basics. The basics for amending your soil. Nobody's got perfect soil, okay? But if you don't have perfect soil, do that. Put some manure and compost. Anything that's composted. Here it's composted wood chips I'm using. And horse manure that I had delivered to me a while back ago. That's another good thing too, is you find a good source of this stuff. You know, I have this guy named Jared Wood. He delivers to me, and he just delivered to me a load of composted wood chips. And he also delivered just a load of regular wood chips that I'm going to put around the trees and stuff to keep the weeds down and keep the soil moist, because it's very dry here in the summer. So, I mean, these are things you guys need to consider, think about, as I said, food for thought here, and really think about this. Things are just going to get worse in this world. You know that. You see the politics. You see the way the right and the left are just feuding all the time and fighting, and you see how the right and the left, and just as far as people's concerned, the fighting that's going on, it's just getting crazy, the politics. I mean, I'm in my 50s here. I've never seen something like this bad. This is getting bad. And if you see the media, you know, well, I don't care what you think about Trump, but he's right about the media. They are hell-bent on making him look bad. And like I said, I've never seen stuff like this before, you know. So anyways, guys, it is what it is, right? This is the world we live in now. So I feel sorry for those of you that are quarantined right now in your apartments and your condos and even in your homes right now. If you live in the suburbs and you can't get out to you can't get out of the city and move into the country, start making a garden. You know, start working on a garden. Produce some food for your family. Yeah, I know. Even living in the suburbs, you're pretty much controlled by your associations. I'm telling you, man, the freedoms here. I can pretty much do whatever I want out here. This is wonderful. It's freedom, and I've never had that before. And it's one of the most beautiful things, freedom. It's just wonderful to be able to do what you want to do and not worry about what people say and how it's going to look. If I decide not to cut my grass, I don't cut my grass. Big deal, you know. But yet you have to be responsible out here. I got weeds that don't take a break. They just keep growing. So guys, that's basically what I want to talk about today, or what I wanted to talk about, is get out of the cities if you can, move out to the countries, the countryside, and start, get yourself a couple of acres of land, at minimum an acre or two. Start a garden, and start producing food. Start being more, dependent on yourself, rather than dependent on these grocery stores and the system and all that. It's ridiculous. And even that food that we're eating at the grocery stores is garbage. It looks pretty, it looks nice, all those fruits and vegetables, but they got tons of herbicides and pesticides and all the other junk they put on there. You don't even know if they're genetically modified. Yeah, we can go organic, but there's even rules and regulations as far as being certified organic farmer, that there's certain things you cannot use as far as minerals even, and fertilizers you can't use, even if it's natural. It's crazy, man. It's like they're poisoning us, And they really are, because for the longest time, I was trying to be very healthy, eating very healthy, but always food from the grocery store. No processed foods, always fruits and vegetables. And yeah, I was getting a little better, but I really wasn't seeing the results that I wanted to see. There's a story I want to tell you. I won't tell you in this video, but a health scare I went through back in '06 that really turned my life around. And changed my diet, changed my whole look on life and food, And I'll do a video about that later, but how the importance of it, the importance of eating real food that you've grown, that's got all the minerals. Now I always mention this in my videos, now you know why. It's got all the minerals in the soil that's needed in that fruit or vegetable to heal your body. Because if we have all the nutrients and minerals in our body, the body knows what to do. It's pre-programmed in the DNA to heal itself. But when you keep shoving processed foods and artificial chemicals and all that junk in our bodies, the body has to deal with that too, and in the meantime your health goes down. So people, get out of the cities, start your own garden if you can, and grow your own food, be more self-sufficient, and don't be reliant on the system and the grocery stores so much anyways. Alright guys, so I have a lot of tilling to do here, and I'm going to be planting zucchinis here, and those are going on the grill as soon as they're big enough for me to do so. And my tomatoes are they're doing pretty good. They're a little over a foot tall now. I have a lot of tomato sauce this summer. And as soon as it gets hot here in the summer, it's going to be too hot for the tomatoes anyways to grow. So by June, July, I'll be harvesting them all and making tomato sauce. I'll be making small batches of tomato sauce every once in a while, because as they're ripening, I'm going to pull them off, make a little sauce with my little food processor and strainer, and make tomato sauce. And I'll be having squash, and man, I got garlic and onions planted. We're gonna have peppers and eggplants. I got Swiss chard growing, kale. We got tons of other stuff we're gonna be growing. So as far as going hungry, I don't think that's gonna happen yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen. That's it, guys. I hope you enjoyed my video. I hope it really got you thinking to what's going on in the world and the urgency of getting out of the cities and into the country. Alright guys, so I'm going back to work here and start making some food. See you guys in the next video.